Both times.
Oh, really? That's cool.
As the first one.
Oh,
I've been
awesome.
under Charlie's mom for a long time.
I'm shrinking it, getting smaller.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Tracy Pyatt Fox, and some of you may remember me through my years of service for the police department. I served for just over 15 years. I care about these men and women so much, and I stay in touch with our staff daily. They're an incredible group of people that serve this community with everything that they have. I also have the experience of working directly for two administrations. I've had a front row seat to how administrations work. And because of that, I know exactly what needs to happen in order to make the necessary changes that will remedy the lack of morale, the lack of direction that the department has had for some years. And I know the person that's suited for this position. Travis was my direct supervisor at one point, and because of that, knowing his character, knowing his heart, knowing his position on topics, knowing his love and true concern for this community, its officers, it's for those reasons that I endorse Travis Griffith as San Angelo's next chief of police. I do have the pleasure of knowing these guys that are standing behind me. After 15 years, I've watched them all grow up. And so now I'd like to introduce my friend, Lieutenant Chris Cimino, a former candidate.
Afternoon, almost afternoon, y'all. Like she said, my name is Chris Cimino. You've all met me before or seen me or read something I've written. But I'm not here for me today. I'm here for Travis. So over my career and over my lifetime, I've worked with some really terrific leaders. And leadership doesn't come from being somewhere a long time. It comes from your heart. It comes from actually caring about the people underneath you, making sure that they're well cared for. And Travis is that man. If you want somebody who actually cares about the people under his charge, it's Griff. It's just who he is. You know, you grew up with him. But, so Travis was assigned to me as a sergeant right after I promoted to lieutenant. And I don't think you actually know the character of a person unless you've worked with them or worked for them or they work for you. They can say pretty words, but until you see them actually working under stress, you don't know the qualities of a person. And Travis has a lot of qualities, and they're all positive, at least in my experience. He's always treated everybody the way he wanted to be treated. Treated them with respect and honesty. I don't have enough good things to say about the guy. He's Travis. So I think he's going to be a great chief of police, and I wholeheartedly endorse you. And Adam Scott. Oh, is he? I told you guys I was going to stage dive. But...
Hey, we'll catch you.
No, just let me go, man.
I want to say thank you to everybody for being here today. I'm blessed to have the support of every patrol commander in our department. It's amazing feeling whenever you have worked in and around with these men and the women of the department, and you find that they're willing to put their trust in you. It's an absolute honor. What this represents here is approximately 117 officers is under their command. It's the entire patrol division. That includes canine, lake, anti-crime, gang, traffic. It's an absolute honor. I want to give all glory to the Lord because I wouldn't be here without Him. My career, my path has been laid before me by Him. And I believe in this community, and I believe in these men behind me. And I can't say how much I appreciate you, Tracy. She was an absolute blessing to work in and around. I miss you. So thank you for being here. I will say that I think a lot of the time that you build those relationships have been because I've supervised tough spots. My time as a supervisor over internal affairs, that's where you learn whether or not you have capacity to lead at the highest levels. When you have to sit across from people that you know and care about and tell them their time at the San Angelo Police Department is done. Whenever you have to take action, that ends up knowing that you're going to end up being arrested. You have to be able to separate yourself from the person and know that I didn't swear an oath to the San Angelo Police Department. I didn't swear an oath to those men and women. I swore an oath to the state of Texas, which means it's the people. I swore an oath to you. I've been championing good police work from the day I've started, calling out good work, doing everything that we can to show that good police work matters. But I'm equally been calling out bad police work. I've been fighting for San Angelo long before San Angelo knew who I was, and I'll do that as your next police chief. And I'll take questions. Yes, ma'am.
Recently, a cartel person was arrested here in Tom Green County. So what is going on with the cartels investigations?
Yes, ma'am. So I won't speak to too many details on that, but what I will say is that with an open border, and the federal government has left us high and dry, right? We have to do what we can here, and that's why I've been advocating for creating a task force between our local law enforcement, between our sheriff's department and our DPS to be able to fight crime, not siloed, but together in the area of drugs. We're seeing it at prices that we've never seen. Whenever your dollar doesn't go as far anymore to buy milk and gas and everything else, the price of methamphetamine is all-time lows. It's because the market is flooded. We have to combat that. Those that are selling drugs, we need to hit that hard and together, united front as a community. Yes, Joe.
How many lieutenants are in the San Angelo Police Department?
7.
There's 7?
Yes, sir.
So how many lieutenants are endorsing you?
Right now, you see the ones that are here.
So you have 3 lieutenants? Is that 2 lieutenants? 3 lieutenants?
3 lieutenants, sir.
So 3 out of the 7 are endorsing you?
I haven't talked to the other gentleman.
So the police department has what, about 158 billets? Is that right?
Have it what, sir?
You have 158 personnel in the police department, or billets for personnel?
We're slotted for 180. We're sitting somewhere right around 160 some change.
So you've got 160 right now? So 117 are in patrol. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So isn't that a misallocation of resources to have 4 lieutenants that are not patrol and have 3 that are in patrol? Patrol is 117 of those 160.
You know, we can talk about allocations of resources all day long, but right now what we're dealing with is what we have, and I don't have any power over that. What I will say is this, is that it matters, it's relevant because these are the boots on the ground. These are the people that are seeing the crime daily. They're the ones that are the backbone of this department, and I think they have a better understanding than those that are removed from law enforcement. You're 20 years gone from law enforcement, you're 5 years gone from law enforcement, you don't have the same understanding of what we're dealing with right here in San Angelo on the streets, directly in the trenches.
So,
Got another question?
come on, don't make me do it all.
Yes, ma'am.
What are your plans for involving children, the youth in our community, with the police department?
Yeah, I would love to see Campus Crime Stoppers developed here. We used to have it years ago. Campus Crime Stoppers is a program that will help build efficacy in the community, in our schools. It will actually show the kids how important it is to be a member of this community, and how to be able to provide information to the police directly to be able to combat drugs, vapes, guns, and crime in the school. So that's one of the programs. I'd love to see a mentor program, either through law enforcement officers that are working with kiddos that are in need of some good mentors, or even possibly utilizing people that have recovered and be able to get them to show. Basically, the simplest way I've said it is, life's hard, don't make it harder, and do what I did once they've been far removed from their crime.
So in 2016, one of the big contingents of that race was the patrol assistant chief. I think his name was Holloway. I think that's what his name was. I can't remember. Maybe Tracy could help me out with the name. But he was hated by everyone, and they wanted to get rid of him. So isn't this really about Tracy Venture?
I don't know that I can connect those two people together at all, but what I can tell you is that this is really about what's best for San Angelo. And that's why these men have put their support behind me, because they believe I'm the best person for that. And at the end of the day, we'll make choices when we get there. We're not gonna put a cart before the horse. I haven't told anybody in my board that they're gonna be anything. And we're gonna keep on that, because it's important that we evaluate once we're in there. Because lots of people can say lots of things, but until you're there, that's when you make those decisions and we move forward as an organization.
But isn't this about the patrol? I mean, it's always, every police chief race is always about the assistant chief in charge of patrol.
I can't tell you, I can't speak to that, Joe. What I can tell you is that it's about what we're talking it's about.
So the
I'm
next
not gonna
guy gets the patrol is gonna be
Joe.
hated too?
Joe, real quick, I want to, for the sake of the time of these men and women, the people that are here, I'm not going to go in a back and forth. What I will tell you is that it's about what we're saying it's about. We're not going to put words in anybody's mouth. We're going to say, this is what we're here to say. Nothing more, nothing less. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I commend you and these officers and retired officers behind you for standing up, because I personally have met each and every one of you, and I know the integrity, Chris especially, I admire you greatly. And as a former candidate, you standing here and supporting Travis, that speaks volumes. And I completely, he is the right man, thank you. And I appreciate the integrity of you, Travis, and these supporters behind you for standing solid as a wall for you. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I will add that Lieutenant Chris Jimino has impressed me throughout the whole process. I've known him for a long time, but he really showed his character as he went through this.
That's
and,
right.
Sure
Absolutely.
And he drafted a letter while in between the time frame of the election night and then at the time that it was solidified by City Council. And that letter is going to be released to y'all guys. I hope you already got copies. That was as he was still a candidate, and now he is no longer, so that's when that letter was drafted then, and his words were chosen carefully today. So I want to highlight that. Yes, sir.
If you had one thing to say, one differentiator for people who are on the fence when it comes time to vote in the runoff on June 15th, what would be the biggest differentiator between you and Lieutenant Hernandez, would you say?
I think I won't compare the two of us, but what I will say is that if you want change, that I'm a candidate that's been talking about this since day one. We've been talking about issues since day one. We're going to combat drugs. We're going to work on homeless situations. We're going to look at trying to partner with our community partners that are helping those that are struggling with chemical dependencies.
Yes.
We're going to do everything we can to work as a community and not be siloed, to work towards making a better tomorrow for San Angelo.
Wonderful.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your citizens board?
Oh yeah, thank you. It's my daughter, Marissa. Yeah, the Chiefs Advisory Board is something that I've been pushing since day one. I think you can't police any society without their consent. And what that means is you can be an occupying force, so you can make people do things, but it doesn't do any good. Working together as a community to be able to have them engaged and involved in what we do and why we do it, how we do it, that matters. And so we're going to work towards working a Chiefs Advisory Board that you can find what kind of crime that we're facing, what are we doing about that crime, what are you seeing in your neighborhood, and be able to provide avenues that you can provide us that information to the commanders that are over those divisions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
How would you describe the current morale of the department, and what are you going to do to improve that?
Yeah, I think once the election's over, morale's always going to be better. We are not in a great state of morale, I'll be honest with you. I mean, anytime an election comes around, it's tough on us. I've done my very best to run a race that's above par and above the fray. I'm going to continue to do so. I think the more you do that, the more chance you have at being able to repair those relationships, repair the morale as it comes up. And what I've envisioned since day one is my philosophy on leadership is not about so much being in charge as it is taking care of those in your charge. And so that means gathering the people that have influence in the department to get them to come and evaluate what the problems are. We know what the problems are, but we need their input to be able to find out their buy-in to get there. And so you have their buy-in, they have the involvement that makes it feel like it's their plan, because it is going to be their plan. Then we can start working together as that department and to changing that morale.
On the Citizens Advisory Board.
I'm sorry, Joe, he had his hand up first. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You talked a lot about changes. If nothing else happens, what's the one change that you want to affect the most, and when do you think it's going to be taken into effect?
Yeah, that's a good question, but I think it's an overarching theme. But first and foremost, that getting this narcotics team up and going, working with the sheriff's office, getting them, it's going to be a priority. I think working with the school district to help get programs like DARE back into the programs in regards to our department, that we start putting people where they need to be to help champion good police work, and working on calling. We're gonna have to do a reset. I mean, there's been some things going on in our department. We got a lot of action, officers getting in trouble. We have to do a reset. Say, hey, this is no longer gonna be acceptable. And I think that will change the morale and also change the organization.
On the Citizens Advisory Board, one of the hallmarks of the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution is consent of the governed. Who is going to be on this advisory board? What kind of power would it have? And is it really circumventing the consent of the governed, which would be the city council, which is elected by the consent of the governed?
You've been doing your homework, Joe. So this is going to fall into more of open meeting status, where people can come in and hear those things and be involved. So that way you don't have to keep a quorum and keep the minutes, because we want people to all be involved. That's been kind of the main theme of why I'm not doing a whole lot of endorsement letters and stuff like that, because I want to be a chief for all the people. Not just because you have the right kind of status to get on a board, or that you have the right kind of connections to be here or there, that anybody can come in and hear what's going on and be very open and transparent.
San Angelo's unique in that we elect the police chief. We're the only place that elects a police chief, and that, of course, that opens up all kinds of questions about who the donors are, who the supporters are versus the non-supporters. So wouldn't this citizens advisory idea, I'll call it just an idea you have, kind of open its way to allowing donors to your campaign, for example, or your supporters, to have a louder voice with the police chief than people who didn't support you?
I guess you could stretch anything to make whatever you want it to be, Joe.
I'm going to stretch it. I'm just asking. How are you going to protect that?
In this idea that hasn't been developed, we're going to start putting in conspiracies already. That's interesting. We'll have to call that conversation whenever it happens. When we start having meetings, we can talk about it at that point. It's really kind of premature to put the cart before the horse in that regards. I think people know what I stand for. I'm not about some sort of conspiracy stuff. I'm about being open and transparent. We're going to be painfully transparent. What that means is you're going to know what we're doing, why we're doing. You'll know if I'm a good chief, and you'll know if I'll be a bad chief. It will be very obvious. That's why government needs transparency more than ever. Yes, ma'am.
One final comment from myself. What I'm hearing you say is that you're going to be seeking solutions for some of the problems that people are talking about. And you want to hear ways from your community, not just the city council, the school district, the sheriff's office, but the members of the community, whether they've given money to you or not. You want to find solutions and have feedback on ways to help foster relationships in the community and better serve us.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm hearing.
That's a fair assessment, but I think the police are supposed to not just wait for us to wait for the problems to come to us, right? We should be actively seeking those issues out in our community. And how you do that is you go out and be with the people. And if you're with the people and they're able to explain what's happening in their neighborhood, they'll have a commander that's available at the meeting if they're having issues with drugs, they're having issues with racing and driving fast on the roadway. There's been a lot of complaints I've heard. You're having issues with whatever, insert that in, right? That there'll be somebody there that can address that. And I would love to invite city council members to it, so that way you can have a direct response to them as well. We're going to move forward. Yes, sir.
In regards to homelessness in San Angelo, the police chief and other people who hold office have been infamously haven't done a whole lot to seek real solutions for that. And certain people like Mike Burnett, who's the head of the Concho Valley Community Action Agency, and some other people in Sydney, and who are trying to really put forth solutions, real solutions. Do you plan on doing anything with that? Because I know you've been involved with going to Navigation Day and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. You know, before I ran for chief, I've gone to the Lubbock Police Department, spoke to their leadership to find out what they've done, how they dealt with particularly homeless situations and other aspects of law enforcement. I've also gone to Abilene and talked and spoke to their interim chief at the time and their assistant chiefs to find out what kind of issues are they seeing. This has to be a community approach, and I found that across the board. If we don't have a community approach on many of these issues, then we will fall short of that mark. We can't silo the work in between just one nonprofit or the city doing something or just the county. It needs to be all of us working together for the betterment of our community, because we can't just leave situations kind of hidden away. We need to address what the root cause of those things are and treat them at a source, and not just do it on a surface level. Yes, sir.
You mentioned DARE a couple of times.
Yes, sir.
In your press conferences.
Yes, sir.
I did a little research. Are you familiar with the studies that show that the DARE program is ineffective?
So I've said DARE-like programs almost every time. What I mean by that is it's synonymous with people what DARE is. So what I'd like to see us do is partner with ADAC, who already has curriculum that they've developed and they're using in schools right now at elementary levels. Working, that's again, partnering with our local resources and partnering with our local nonprofits matter. And I think that's how you move forward with that. All right, for the sake of time for these kind of folks back here, these awesome individuals that are serving our city, and for yours, I'm going to go ahead and cut it short. I'll say cut it short. Go ahead and come to it complete. Thank you for being here. I ask that you become informed, right? Know what's going on in your community. Evaluate and vote. I'm going to ask you to vote for me, but if you don't vote for me, at least go vote. We need more representation in this community for such a major position. Okay, so understand that we're going to push forward through this, winner or loss. We will give the Lord glory. Okay, that regardless of what happens, and I'm trusting that our hard work and our dedication, what we've been doing, will pay off. So I appreciate you guys, and you'll have a great day. God bless.